Oh my God, guys, welcome everybody to a very, very, very special episode of The Rewind. My co-host for today is Jake. Sorry, I can't. It's been so long since I've been on. I can't remember my direction.
StreamYard is so weird. It's so like I'm pointing the opposite direction of you on screen, but I'm actually pointing to it's the strangest thing ever.
I'm like, if you were here, you would be at my left, but in my screen, you're on my right. Sorry,
exactly.
It's been like 2 months since I've been on screen, which is insane for me. I've been taking a little bit of a break. It's going to continue through the rest of the year because, as Jake and I have just discussed previously before coming on, I've got a crazy schedule for the rest of the year. So we'll definitely come back and do some crazy, amazing episodes. I'm coming back, obviously, for the Zoe's Christmas Rewind. That's going to be phenomenal with my co-hosts Lindsay and Max. But this episode is very, very special because Jake and I have discovered that we are both incredible fans of
obsessed
just obsessed so much about this ridiculous show about English kids and parents discovering sex and sexuality, and it is called very apropos Sex Education. Now we're going to do, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm going to do a very quick rundown of seasons 1 and 2, and Jake, feel free to jump in because I literally I take copious notes and it's ridiculous. So I've got like 3 pages of notes and I'm like, okay, let's see how fast we can go through this. The whole series starts off with something that I completely forgot was a thing. And that's the fact that Adam and Amy were a couple. It starts off with Amy riding Adam topless, asking if he likes her tits. And it's amazing. And it's just like such a wow. Okay, so this is the show. It's a perfect introduction. Adam fakes coming, and you kind of get the feel that, like, wow, this is interesting. And then we realize that the whole first season is basically about Otis coming to terms. Otis is the son. He's the main character. Coming to terms with the fact that he can't jack off. He is not there yet, and that's totally acceptable and understandable. And it's kind of an ongoing, I don't want to say gag or joke, but like it's an ongoing thread throughout the whole season. What is a gag or joke, I think, that I love very much is the visual gag of Adam's cock being 2 Coke cans stacked on top of each other, and they show it. They show like the 2 Coke cans like stacked when somebody opens their locker door. Like it's
a continuous bit through the whole season. Yeah,
they're like sitting on a table stacked up in the background of the scene. Like it's so perfect and lovely. And at the end of the scene, or at the end of the series, like you actually, or this at the end of the episode, you actually see Adam's penis. And I honestly think it's the first time I've seen an uncircumcised penis on TV. Like, honestly,
probably
TV, not movies, because movies, address it. But like in it,
I have a hard time remembering which ones I would see on TV, so probably.
Yeah. And then we get introduced to Jackson, who is head boy, and he is he's basically just fucking Maeve, and they have a whole secret relationship that ends up coming to a head at the very end of the season, the first season, because he's paying Otis to help him with Maeve, and it's this whole big deal. Maeve and Otis,
which I totally forgot about, by the way.
Right?
Totally forgot all that happened.
I made a list of like couples that we forget about, and that's Adam and Amy, because Adam is out and gay. By the end of the second season, he's out he's not out and gay. He comes out to Eric as being bi, and he's scared, and like this whole third season, we deal with him being bisexual, with having a boyfriend of Eric. So you completely forget about Adam and Amy, because then it just becomes Amy and Maeve, and they're like best girlfriends. Who doesn't want girlfriends like that?
Exactly.
You forget about Jackson and Maeve, and you kind of forget about Otis and Ola as well.
I forgot about her just because of her role in season 3. Like, I actually jumped around and watched like a bunch of different episodes, kind of like my favorite ones, and all of these storylines started popping in. I was like, what is happening right now? Like, why did I forget about all this? Because it's so important to how all these characters are in season 3, especially someone like Jackson and Adam, obviously. And I forgot that Adam and Eric kissed at the end of the first season. It wasn't even in the second season. It was at the end of the first season that's happened.
That's not even the end of the first season, because they make out during, I think it was the 5th or 6th episode of first season. like when they're doing when they're in what's the thing?
Oh, is it detention?
Detention.
That's right.
Because they fight, they kiss, they fall to the floor. Adam kisses Eric. They make out
That's
for a hot second,
right.
and then he gives him a blowjob. And like, I
Mhm.
legit at that exact moment, my heart just burst from happiness because like, there's nothing I love more than a wounded puppy. And Adam is like, Adam is the dog with the thorn in his paw that just snarls at everybody. And once you remove the thorn, he's a lap dog. I just adore him, and it makes me so happy. But he has issues with his dad being the headmaster. It's a whole bunch of issues. Basically, at the end of the first season, let's see. Maeve's brother, who was missing for 4 months, had come back and leaves again. Otis leaves the writing award that Maeve. We discovered that Maeve is like this like literary and literal genius, and starts writing all these essays for people and gets kicked out, and then like buys her way back in because she's like, well, your kids are all cheating and I have proof. Even Adam's essay that she wrote like won this crazy award, and so Otis steals it for her. It's very How I Met Your Mother with like the blue tuba.
Never seen How I Met Your Mother.
It's okay, don't worry, they're terrible people. It's a really sweet act though. And then Adam gets sent to military school at the end of season 1. Otis makes up with Ola just as Maeve comes back, and they both realize that they have feelings, and she realizes she has feelings for him, and then she sees them kissing, and it's awful. And then the season 1 ends with Otis finally jacking off.
And that visual of him like rising from the bed and like the bird, like doves flying out from behind of it. It's such a pure genius move to end the season that way.
It's so just so great. And then season 2 starts with Otis literally not able to stop jacking off. Even to the point where he's in public in the car and his mom gets out and he like sees some woman like in the side mirror and just jerks it, and it's such a great visual gag where he like comes on the window and his mom's right there, and it's really funny. And it starts off with like the chlamydia hysteria at the school, and everybody's like wearing masks, and you can't catch chlamydia. It's not COVID. You can't catch it by speaking. It's literally by bodily fluids exchange, which is ridiculous. And I love how wonderfully the writers tell or show basically how inept everyone is when it comes to sex in this series. Like from the parents to the students to the teachers, like no one knows what the fuck is going on.
It's everyone. It's not just like a group. It's literally everyone that we know of in the show.
Like the teacher that's teaching the SRE classes has no idea what he's talking about. Because when Raheem, who like is a new character in season 2 that comes in and like gets everyone's panties wet, he comes in and like he starts asking questions about like what kind of lube should I use for anal sex? Like why don't we address, and like Jean brings it up, why doesn't any of this address female pleasure? Like why don't we talk about sex that's not for reproduction? Like it's this whole big deal, and it's such an incredible conversation to have. Like the fact that this show is not being shown, like I wish that this show could legitimately be shown in high schools right now.
It's a really good interpretation of what kids go through while also showing what you shouldn't go through. It really is, and that's why they call it. It's the perfect sex education. Like seeing what these characters go through, the kind of troubles they have. The writers, I think this is one of the best shows written on television. Period. Like I enjoy everything they do. I don't have an issue with really anything that they do, but I agree. It's a very good educational side of things for kids who may be going through some stuff.
Yeah, we also get the introduction of Vivienne Obisanya, who ever since I started watching Ted Lasso, the fact that Hannah Waddington, my goddess, my queen, the ruler of all, she's so lovely and beautiful and talented and gorgeous and the award winning, she's in both shows, and now Obisanya. And I think I literally am like, wait, I'm not watching Ted Lasso, although I would love, oh my god, I would kill for a crossover episode. Could you imagine Roy Kent coming to teach SRE class?
Oh my god. Or Ted Lasso. Or Ted Lasso. Either one of them.
Ted Lasso teaching the boys about female pleasure, and Sassy just sitting in the corner nodding. Oh my god, I would die for it.
It'd be so good.
But Vivienne Obisanya comes in, she takes over as head girl for Jackson, who starts self-harming because he doesn't want to keep like the stress of being head boy and like all of the pressures.
That's terrifying, by the way, of someone who's
God.
lifted weights and stuff. Like the fact that he stuck his hand in there.
Yeah. Like, okay, first of all, okay, so my dad was a bodybuilder. So growing up, anytime I heard the plates slam down, it like made my eye twitch because I was literally brought up from like knee high to a pig's eye, being like, don't slam the plates. Like you control your movement up, you control your movement down. You don't drop. And so every time that happens, I'm just like, stop, like, and so then the fact that he like, that's how he his own hand, like he self-harms. Like self-harm doesn't just mean cutting. It doesn't just mean bulimia or anorexia. Like it is anything that you do to actually harm yourself to keep from dealing with emotional issues. Like it is a big deal. And so the fact that at the party that Otis throws, the Rager, the small get-together, the fact that he comes out to Vivian because he finally gets his cast off and comes out and says, you know, I'm going back to prison. Like, and then he tells her that he's thinking about self-harming again and kind of jokes it away. And she has the wherewithal to tell his moms. Like, it's just, that was such a heartbreaking moment. And
there's 1% of the population of kids that would tell someone's parents that. There's 1%.
100%. Yeah, sorry, I 100% agree. That was very confusing.
Too many percentages. We're not math majors.
Dirty numbers. And then Maeve joins the quiz heads, and her mom comes back and finds out that her mom's back and lying to her. And then she finds out that she's using again, and she has to that's how the season ends. As she calls Child Protective Services on her mom, and we'll talk about my issues with her mom next season, and then in a little bit. And then. Oh God, what else happened? Sorry, I'm checking my notes. Oh, the camping trip. We finally meet like Remy, who is Otis's dad.
Oh my God, yes.
Who is played by the stunningly sexy Purefoy. Oh my God, what's his name? Why am I blanking on his name?
James Purefoy. James Purefoy.
James, yes. Who is just wonderful, and I absolutely love and adore him. Oh, hi. Hey, Brennan.
Hi, Brennan.
It's so
good
to see you. It's First Class League's own Brennan Marr. But I love the way that they dealt with Remy and how like his character flaws don't just get like brushed under the rug. Like Otis actually addresses them. At one point, I literally just rewatched this part of the episode. At the end of the episode where they go on the camping trip and it gets rained out and whatever, Gene goes to pick them up and brings them back, and he tells her that he wants to be better for a better father, and she goes, to which children? And it's like, damn. Like this show does not pull punches, and it's so
that's why it makes it so good, is that it's real. Like that's something that would be said in real life. Like that is the real of the real, and that's why I appreciate it so much. Yeah.
And then we also have like Gene's friendship with Maureen, who is Adam's mom, who's also Michael Groff's ex-wife, because they get divorced, and then they go out and have that great like they just go out for drinks while Otis is throwing this rager, and like then they go dancing, and like they're just having this great like girls moment, and like it's such a true thing that like after you reach a certain age, you just kind of stop organically making friends. Like when you're kids in school or like in your early 20s at work, like you're just constantly surrounded by people. But then your life changes at such a different rate than some of your other friends or some of the other people that you're around, that it's really hard to like find people that really understand what you're going through. And so I think that like when they go out dancing and Maureen's like, I don't have any friends, and Gene's like, me neither, and they're like this beautiful like bonding moment. I'm like, yes, girls, I love you. I also really love the fact that like they have so many different types of sexuality represented in this show, because in season 2 we also get the girl who plays Juliet in the school play, which we haven't even addressed yet, which is hilarious. She is asexual, which means she doesn't want to have sex. Ola is pansexual, which means she's not attracted to a sex, like a sexual orientation. She's attracted to a person. Remy and Eric are gay, Adam is bi. It's
We
just
get Kyle in season 3, who is non-binary as well. So it continues.
We get Cal and the girl who, or the character that did they give a name to?
Oh, there is another character, huh? I don't know. I'll look her name up, see if I can.
Yeah. But they that character is amazing, and the way that they play with that, like the good NP or the NB, like the good non-binary and the bad non-binary, like it's such a thing in that culture that it's shocking that how perfectly they address the issues without pointing fingers or pulling punches or putting blame on anybody. Like it's this great like learning curve for everyone. And then also at the Rager that happens, Otis finally has sex, and it's with Ruby. That is a damn shocker. But so it's one of those like, huh, okay, and like we haven't even addressed like Ruby goes through cyberbullying because Olivia posts a picture of her vagina like to everyone with the threat of apologize or I out you. She even calls it a Chewbacca badge, which I'm like, oh, girl, not everything has to look like a hairless chihuahua. But they deal with so much in this, and I just want to give a massive shout out to the writers and the directors and everybody. But somebody who doesn't, I think, get enough love is going to be the man Oli Julian, who is the music guy for this show. I don't know if you had a love affair with the soundtrack the same way I did, but everything was fucking perfect.
I love the soundtrack and the way that the music comes into certain scenes. Like it's used in a really smart way.
Yeah.
And it's funny, when I was rewatching a couple episodes of season 1, that's one of the things I noticed is like certain scenes were happening and you can listen to the lyrics and the lyrics are telling the story of what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's very, very smart. It's very smart.
Like the first episode of season 1 starts with the song Children Behave. And it's literally like just I think I text you when I first watched it. And I was like, that opening like scene was amazing. It was just like a conglomeration of like shots of all of these different couples like hooking up and having sex to the song Children Behave. Like, it's so perfect.
It's so smart. It's so smart.
Yeah, it's just great. There was one, I actually wrote it down. Let me find it in my notes. It was the scene where Adam and Eric are in detention and they kiss and then, he gives a blowjob. But the lyric is the song that starts playing, the first lyrics is, he hit me and it felt like a kiss. And I was like, what the hell? Like, after all of the bullying that like Adam put Eric through, and then for him to find a song with lyrics like that, like that's just like it gives me chills. Like it
tells their story. It literally tells their story.
It's perfection. Like you could have put just put like some orchestration in, but the fact that like those lyrics are in there and you don't really, because it's such an important scene that like you're visually just kind of stunned because like of all of the abuse that Adam has put onto Eric, and like now he's doing something incredibly tender and loving, like you just get emotionally shocked, and so you kind of don't really hear the lyrics, but you like they register subconsciously. It's just, thank you, Oli. Like you're just, it's you wonderful, wonderful man. I hope you get all the love and attention that you deserve. So season 3 starts with the montage of just all of the sex, and it's
all of it.
And like, now I'm obviously not the biggest Ruby fan because the season 1 and 2, she was just a heinous bitch. And we get to know her better in season 3, but like my favorite thing about her is the fact that she got him to shave that god-awful creeper stash.
Remember, it's a mustache.
It's a mustache. Yeah, it's horrible.
It's Asa Butterfield should never have facial hair again because it was not good. But I think that was the point of it. So when you're a high school boy, like one of the things you always want to do is you want to be able to grow facial hair, and some people can only grow the mustache, and unfortunately for some people it just doesn't look good at all. But as far as Ruby goes, like she was the cliche high school popular girl in season 1, season 2. I really enjoyed her involvement in this season. Like I thought the idea of making her and Otis a thing in the season fully, and then weaving her story in to make it, instead of it being Maeve, Jackson, and Otis, it's Ruby, Maeve, and Otis. And now instead of focusing on Maeve's side of it, now we're focusing on Otis's side of it. And I just love their interaction too. Like she's the popular girl. He's the one who is kind of like the geeky one. And he'll do anything that she says because he's hooking up with her. And it's that cliche little storyline of, you know, the guy who always sees the popular girl in school is like, oh, like that'd be really cool to hang out with her or something. But when you get to like the nitty gritty of it, and we saw her story unfold, she doesn't come from a super popular background. You know, her dad is dealing with some stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
She puts on this front to hide what she's going on at home. And the fact that she opened up to Otis about it is a big deal to his kind of character and what kind of character he is. But I just love the whole story. I'm interested in seeing where it goes because it like was this weird open ending that didn't really get closed because of what was happening. But I did love their kind of back and forth and the way they acted with each other and how dominant she was compared to him.
Yeah, I loved the arc that she went through. Like we got to really see her as a human being and not just like as a caricature of Mean Girl. I think my favorite scene was when they're sitting at her house and like it's her dad and like the guy from Maeve's neighbor who's his pot dealer.
The guy who literally can't stop having sex. That guy.
Oh, I felt so bad. I was like, babe, I understand. Like sex is a legitimate actual grieving process. Like it's how you deal. I get it. I've been there, I've done it, it's fine. But I love how they're just sitting there like smoking pot and he like offers it to Ruby and she's like, who's gonna help you when you fall down? And he offers it to Otis and she's like, Dad, you're a terrible parent. Like it was just this great like you could see her like just relaxing and being who she was, and it was just such a great moment. I was really glad that it didn't feel forced because like with that kind of dynamic with like Otis and Ruby like hooking up all summer, like it could almost feel like you were trying to shoehorn in like a lesson, and like that's not what this show is about. And I was worried that was what was going to happen for like, you know, pressure from Netflix or something. But it worked out so beautifully. And I absolutely adore Ruby now. Like she's starting to soften up and like her hard edges are getting, you know, smoothed out. And it's great. And I love her interaction with her dad. It's just so sweet. I mean, I'm a daddy's girl, so like,
I agree. And I think the character's really grown on me. And it was, what I did is I made sure I watched the very first episode of the series ever. And because I wanted to see like the full picture of where it came from to where it is now. And one, she was barely used early on. She was just kind of like this girl that was in the background on the click. But then you can tell that she was a super popular girl and how different she is now. It's a big bummer that Maeve and Otis is going to hurt her because I really do love the character, but I can't disagree with the Maeve Otis thing just because it's what I want so bad in this show.
I mean, we've been building it up for 2 seasons. Like,
it started from the very last episode of season 1, and now we're kind of like slowly getting there. But yeah, her character, I just love those moments between her and Otis of like, okay, walk 5 feet behind me at all time, or like just the funny things that she says to him, and he's like, okay, or like when she's dressing him, and we're like, that's not what Otis does. Like, dude looks like a doofus. It's just it's such a great relationship, and it's so smart how they did it. I instantly fell in love with it. Like I instantly fell in love with what they were doing.
When he freaks out about like how hot he is in the turtleneck, I was just like, babe.
Like, or when she tries to get him to wear the purple shirt, he's like, no, not me. No.
He's like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
He you could see him like clicking inside of his brain, being like, no. No, I do really love that. And I wish that I wish that I could say that ends after high school, but it doesn't because it's sex and people really like it, and guys will do pretty much anything for sex, and that's a terrible, sad thing to say, but in my experience, It's true. But it's really funny to see how it was great the way that they brought that dynamic back to kind of even out the power balance, because he wasn't just a pushover in the end. Like, he actually stood up for himself, and like she respected him for it in the end, which was really, really nice. I will say that there was a weird like dynamic in my brain when I watched season 3, because there had been like a year and a half between season 2 and season 3.
It'd been so long.
Yeah, it'd been like almost 2 years. But in the timeline of the story, it's been a summer.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been sitting with all of this information from seasons 1 and 2 for like almost 2 years. Yeah. And then when we come back to season 3 in the storyline, it's been like a summer, which makes me question when season 2 ended, because Jean is very pregnant at the beginning of season 3, and at the beginning or at the end of season 2, she was just finding out she was pregnant. Yeah. And I understand that Gillian Anderson is like a very tiny woman, so like any sort of belly bump is going to look massive on her, but like she's supposed to be like, she gives birth during season 3. Like, she's you know, she's probably 6 months along at the beginning of season 3, which like in my brain, I was like, this doesn't really compute, but I understand what you're trying to work for. But it also like made me recalibrate my brain when everything was coming, when people were dealing with Adam coming back to school and being gay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because in my mind, I'm like, of course Adam's gay. Like, why are you still bullying him? Like, and then I was like, oh, because they've been out of school and it's only been a summer. And I love the way that they handled that when he walks into the when he and Eric walk into the locker room, and he's like, he calls him a poof, and he's like, what are you, a poof now? And he goes, yeah, I'm a poof. And he goes, all right, cool. Like, yeah,
I love the response. Oh, okay, cool.
Congratulate someone for being gay.
Well, so on the topic of Adam, because I know a lot of people that we've talked to have Adam's Groff's character arc is by far their favorite. Like, where he's come from to where he is now, and the development this character has had through 3 seasons, and the ups and downs that he's gone through. And now it's still very much in development, especially kind of what happens towards the end of this season, up in the air. But I think what they've done with him is so brilliant. Obviously, the Eric stuff from where they started to now, and then how he deals with things too, and he's much more coming into his own. I also love the friendship between him and Ola, what they've created.
When he tells her that she's been his only friend, like, my heart, like,
I love the relationship they've created. And even like in the first episode when he's struggling, you know, she comes in, says, hey, what can I do to help? And he just starts like relieving stress by hitting a pillow. Yeah. And everyone needs that type of person. And we've seen Adam through 2 seasons right now as such an individual. It's really cool to see him have that person in her, because she's also going through stuff as well on her side, and what she's going through with Lily. But yeah, Adam is, I think, one, the actor's been incredible in the role. He has this like in the first episode when he comes screaming down the hill on the bike, like so good. And then he has these really good dramatic moments too in the season as well with Eric or whether it be Otis or someone. He's such a brilliant character, and I can understand why people say that he's their favorite. So.
I mean, like I said before, I love A Wounded Puppy. Like, he's making such strides in his personal life, like not just like in his relationship with Eric, but like he discovers that he really likes working with dogs, and he like finds this passion. Yeah. And it's so sweet and so lovely. Like, he's this big, like, buff dude, and he works with this little Maltese, and it's adorable. But he also, like, with his relationship with Ola, like, he was there, like, they were working together in the store when she was taking the quiz and realized that she's pansexual. Like, she was talking out loud to him while they're restocking the shelves about the first dreams that she had of Lily. Like, when she was having dreams and it would start off with Otis, then it switched to Lily, and she was getting really confused. And he was like, you know, he was still struggling with his own sexuality. And so, like, he was always like, well, I don't understand this. But, like, you can see that he's, like, absorbing all of this information and trying to internalize it. And so I adore their relationship. I mean, I also really love like the big little dynamic. I think that's really sweet. Like
I agree.
It's a storytelling thing, but like he like literally picks her up in a hug, and I'm just like, my little baby bear. He's just so sweet and so wonderful and so funny. Oh God, he's so funny.
He has this really super dry comedy that is so rare in shows with young kids or 20, 30s, however old they are. He delivers these lines like if something is said, he just okay, like, and then you just laugh. You just like randomly laugh because the way it's delivered. He's really, really good. I do have a question though. Where do you think he's headed? Like, do you think he and Raheem are gonna have something? Or
I don't know. I mean, they did have like such a okay, so he did steal Eric back from Raheem, if you want to use that. At the end of season 2, he ran into the musical and like in the most beautifully sweet, sensitive way, doesn't even tells him that he loves him. He asks him to hold his hand and like tears.
Such an Adam Groff thing. It's such an Adam Groff move too.
Just so sweet, because that was like the whole thing that Eric was telling him about, like, he can't even hold his hand in public, and like Raheem is like spouting poetry and like kissing him in public, and Adam can't even hold his hand, so he like gets on stage and asks him to hold his hand, and like in the back of my head all I heard was like an acoustic version of somebody singing "I Want to Hold Your Hand," and I'm like, this is so beautiful. I love this so much. So yeah, I transfer my feelings onto the show. It's fine. But no, I think that, and then he comes back and like starts asking Raheem for help. Like he fakes the big poo for him,
which is such a great move for Adam Groff, because season 1 Adam Groff would have been nowhere near that.
But like it made me so joyous for him, and also just so incredibly sad, because like he goes, everybody expects it to be me anyway, and I'm just like, buddy, you can grow, and people are learning. Like Miss Sands is like super helping him out, trying to get out of like the remedial classes, and it's so lovely. I love his progression. It's just, I hope that Raheem helps him like write poetry, like that poem he writes for Eric at the end. Like he doesn't give himself enough credit, like that.
No, never.
That shit, he's one of those, like, I hate to use the term, but idiot savant, like somebody who thinks that they're stupid but is actually incredible. Like I think that he is incredibly emotionally in tune with himself, because he does bottle his emotions so much and he doesn't let them out, and that gives you the time to actually like kind of deal with that internally before you like explode it on people, I guess. But like it's such a great character, and he like what's the actor's name? It's Connor Swindells. So perfect. Like looks like an American Marine. Like looks
chiseled
like
chin, whole thing. Yeah.
Like buzz cut from camp, or from the military school, but whatever.
I don't think he'll ever start to give himself credit until he gets the credit back from his dad. Whenever him and his dad find a way to reconcile whatever has gone on, whenever that happens, which I thought was going to happen this season, but it was focused on them separately doing what they needed to do. I hope it happens next season, because then we'll be able to see him give himself credit and kind of move forward and understand, because a lot of that comes from his dad. His dad screwed him up hard. And I think once that happens, he'll be able to move forward in a much bigger light.
Dude, just like the only thing you have to know about Adam, if you know nothing about him, is the fact that he was being threatened with military school one day, won an award for an essay that he didn't write the next day, and his parents were throwing him a party. Like, if that doesn't say my love is conditional, like, I don't know what does. Like, it's so heartbreaking to see somebody raised like that, who has like such a tender heart inside of them. I think that they're going to deal with Adam and his dad Michael in the next season, just because they had made like very tiny baby steps through that doorway to like reconcile. Because at the end, like his mom sends him over with like clothes and food because his dad's living at the school, and they like have a nice little chat. And it's really sweet, and like no voices get raised, and then crisis happens at the school, so his dad has to run off. But like it's a very good it's a good beginning, and I hope that bridge gets built next season. Now, speaking of Mr. Groff, he did go through an incredible journey, losing his mind in season 2 by stealing Jean's notebook from Otis's locker, tearing out the pages that addressed him, and then photocopying and posting it all over the school for everyone to address. And then getting fired, and then having his wife divorce him, and then moving in with his asshole brother, who is just perfectly cast by
Jason Isaacs.
By
What? Jason, what?
Mr. Malfoy. Are you kidding me? Like,
I couldn't believe they got him for like 2 episodes or whatever, 2 or 3 episodes that he was in. Like, it was like you said, perfectly casted, but I'm surprised that they were able to get him for that short of a time.
I mean, I feel like the actors in the UK are just like all friends. They're like, hey, you want to come hang out for a few days? Like,
well, you know what's funny is speaking on that, and that his house so Jason Isaacs' house in season 3 is in another British show on Netflix called The One.
Oh,
the second he walked in, I go, wait a second, I've seen that house before. So they're not only like super close in acting wise, but they're clearly close in locations because they're reusing stuff. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you go through all of like the locations that Doctor Who uses, it's like the same building like over and over again with like different color wallpaper. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he goes through this great journey. He discovers he loves to cook. He moves in with
Mr. Hendricks.
Mr. Hendricks, which is a really sweet little. Like,
I love Hendricks so much. So much. I love his character. Him and Miss Sands. The bus scene, the bus episode. Oh my god. Oh my god.
When he proposes and she's like,
oh my god.
No, we are not there. And he's like, oh, it felt like the moment. And she goes, that's great. Get up. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, so them together is so good. And like I think she goes, we're terrible teachers, and he goes, well, we're great in a crisis. I'm like, oh my god. Applause, good sir. Good.
They're so good. And they had that whole episode in season 1 about like how she likes, wants to have him talk dirty to him. And I love the fact that that's the same episode that Jean gets introduced to the school, and Mr. Hendricks still doesn't go to Jean. He goes to Otis for advice at the fair. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is so inappropriate.
That's so good.
Like, I've been close with teachers to the point where, like, my senior year, I think I called at least half of them by their first name. Like, we had each other's phone numbers. Like, it was very casual. However, not one of them did we go to each other for sex advice for at all. Like, absolutely not. And like, I know Mr. Hendricks is like the cool teacher, but like,
is he the cool teacher though? Like, I mean, he's having him. Do you remember what was the song they had the choir sing? What was it? Oh my god, what's the song? Is it the Akon song?
Fuck pain away.
Yes. Oh my god, it's like Mr. Hendricks is the worst teacher of all time, but he's also the teacher that you always want around because the kids love him.
Dude, like, Mr. Hendricks was the stage manager for Lily's ridiculous, amazing.
And he was so on point with it. Like, he was so into it.
Yeah, he's like, this is your creativity. I want to help you, like, let's be honest. If Lily doesn't grow up to be, like, a Neil Gaiman type, I'm going to be really pissed because she is. 100%. She is weird and wonderful and lovely. She has a fetish for tentacles and writes porn. First of all, those drawings that they show her drawing are really fucking good. Like, those are artistic. I'm like, are you going to release those? Because I like, I'm not interested in tentacle porn, but I'm like, I want to read the story now. Like, I want to know what happens to Galaxia. Like,
and I'm so thankful that they did that little turn at the end, right, where she threw everything away, and at the very last second they turned it back, and so she's kind of getting back into it, which I'm so thankful about because that is not Lily. Lily is Lily with all of that. Like, we need that Lily. So. I
need my sparkle eyeshadow, my too puffed Lily that is going on and on about aliens. I think the way that they write the way that the writers show how teenagers bounce back, because it's not just it wasn't just like her being ridiculed at school and being made fun of for the story that she won. By the way, she won 5,000 pounds for that story. Like, girl, spend it on that latex, get all that shit, buy you happiness. It's fine. But it wasn't just that episode. It was the gay bashing one that they had with Eric. Like Eric,
Yes.
got abandoned by Otis to go hunt down whoever was sending out the photo of Ruby's vagina with Maeve. And Eric got gay bashed because he was in drag and they were on their way to see Hedwig the Angry Inch. And literally, like, the next scene where you see him dressed in like camo colors and there's no makeup and there's no sparkle, like that was a punch to the gut. That was like
season 2.
Yes,
was it? Maybe it was 1. Actually, it might have been 1.
I think it was 1. Yeah,
I think it was 1. Yeah, I think it was 1.
Yeah, but like it the sadness that happened in my soul. And then he like yells at oh god, why can I never remember his name? Mr. Hendricks. When he like he's in jazz band, Mr. Hendricks like talks to him and he like grabs his arm as he's walking away and he turns around and yells at him, "Don't fucking touch me." Like, dude, like you need a hug so hardcore. You need to feel safe. You need to be okay. It's just that was a rough
like you said, the show doesn't pull punches. Like it as funny as it is and as charming and just so like kind of bright that the show is, it really does kind of get dark at times because it shows really real life things that happen that people do not talk about. A lot of stuff with Eric that's gone on. We can talk about Amy as well because Amy went through a traumatic thing in season 2 and she's finally kind of recovered from that. And yeah, the show is not afraid to show you things that really do need to be shown. And it's not just about, the funny sex montages or wanting Otis and Maeve to get together. It really is about the deep-hearted stuff that a lot of shows kind of walk their way around, and stuff that isn't talked about as much. And I think that's why we love this show so much, because it's able to balance the good and the bad so well and bring like this really weird concoction of a show together that works so well and can kind of pull at all of your strings at once.
Yeah, I think it was within like a span of like 3 or 4 episodes in season 1, Eric went from being gay bashed to having the actual event happen and then dealing with it emotionally, having a confrontation with his dad, and had the very first like open and honest like conversation about how his dad's just scared for him and he loves him and he's so proud of how brave he is, but he's afraid that that's going to get him hurt or killed. And it all happens as he's like after he's bounced back from it and is in his full Eric regalia as he's going to the dance by himself with his green glitter eyeshadow and his purple lips or his gold lipstick and his headdress, and he walks in after that confrontation and Adam walks up to him and says, "I'm going to fucking kill you."
Yeah.
And like it's in a verbal fight. It's not the first thing he says, but it is definitely a line that gets dropped. And Eric goes, "When?" Oh,
yeah, he goes, "When I'm ready." Yeah. When I'm ready.
Yeah. Oh, not now? Okay, cool. Let me know. Yeah. And it's just those words being said on a show about somebody who is gay, who is getting bashed, like that doesn't happen on shows. Like it just doesn't. And for it to be a teen to say it to a teen and for it to have that reaction is just unbelievable. And then in this season, Eric goes to, was it Kenya?
No, he goes to
Nigeria.
God. Nigeria, thank you. There you go.
Goes to Nigeria for his cousin's wedding, where Nigeria is very unsafe for gay people. It has historically been a very tragic place to be, because you can get killed for being gay without question. There's no trial. There's nothing. If somebody kills you, if somebody gay bashes you, it's your fault, and it's a terrifying thing. And Adam doesn't want him to go because he's terrified for him. And Eric just treats it like, "Oh, I'm going to see family." And then he gets there and that whole scene of them in the cab, like he goes off with the photographer who you think is gay. You're pretty sure is gay at the beginning. And then they get in the cab and you're like, "Oh, wait, is he just baiting him to go kill him?"
Yep.
And then it turns out that he is. And that was a roller coaster of 5 minutes. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, my heart was in my chest, it was in my throat. Like, I couldn't deal with
Again,
it.
real life stuff. Like that's stuff that we are hardly ever going to see on television. But yeah, right. The cab scene was terrifying because Eric gets in and he's super excited, right? He's excited to see his people, to go to a club, to see people in Nigeria that are just like him. And he starts talking, and the photographer's like, without saying it, dude, you need to shut the F up.
Yeah.
You have to stop talking right now. Because then we get the shot of the cab driver in the mirror, and you could tell, like, okay, what is something going to happen?
Yeah. Are they in cahoots? Is the photographer working with the cab driver? Are they taking him someplace where he's not going to come back from? And you go on this whole emotional journey, and then they finally get to this club, and he kisses this guy, and you're like, Eric, no!
Yeah.
Things are finally starting to work out with him and Adam, and it's like, oh, you don't want. And then they break up. Sorry, guys.
And Adam just he does everything so wrong, but he always has the best intentions, and especially in this season. And he's never tried to hurt Eric.
Yeah.
He's still very much learning, and it does break my heart to see that happen because I know how much he cared for Eric and how much their relationship means to him. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, and it doesn't make me hate Eric or anything just because it happens, but it did break me a little bit seeing that happen because I knew for a fact that their story was going to be over at some point. And they were going to go their separate ways.
But it ended in such a, like, I don't know if I've ever witnessed that conversation happen between any couple that calmly. But like Eric was completely right. He is in a completely different space in being out. And like he wants to be out and celebrate it. He even tries to get Adam to like do something a little more gay and go to clubs and stuff. And he's like not comfortable. Like he has like Eric, he's still not really out. Like he came out to his mom once he and Eric broke up because he referred to him. He's like, that was actually my boyfriend. Which was like the sweetest thing ever. Amy telling his mom that Eric makes him happy. I was like,
Yep.
I hear puppies. Sorry.
Yeah, they're barking back there. It's okay.
Y'all know I have canine ADHD.
I got 3 of them here right now.
So much fluff. But yeah, their story is amazing. Now let's move on to Amy because this story is just.
She is so powerful. She's powerful.
She is Mighty Mouse. I'm convinced. She's so
I love
tiny.
her. I love this character so much.
She goes through a sexual assault in public with witnesses, which happens more often than anybody would actually like to admit. And the fact that they address this in one of the episodes, in like their Breakfast Club episode, where they take all the girls and put them in the library and have them talk, and they want them to write an essay about what unites them as women, and what unites them as women is sexual assault. Do you know how fucked up that is? That is 100% true. That I could walk up to any woman that I've never met in my life and been like, so how many times have you been harassed in your life? Not one of them will say none. Not a single one. Because it's happened in some form multiple times throughout our lives. And probably starting younger than anybody would actually like to admit. So she gets wanked on. Some guy jizzes on her in a bus. And it really messes up with her. Like her whole season 2 is her admitting that she has a problem, and season 3 is her talking to Jean, which is like the cutest thing ever. Because she brings her goat that she adopts with her boyfriend to these sessions, and they start talking, and she gets really involved in like loving your vagina for what it is, and her vulva cupcakes. Like,
well, I love that she was like teaching Ola like different types with like cupcakes and the images and stuff, and she's now embracing who she is. And it took her a little bit, and she's now not over what happened, but she has now moved past it a little bit, and she's becoming a little bit more herself. I do want to make a quick callback to the episode where all the girls got on the bus with her in season 2. They stepped in with her as a power move, and then we saw all the girls smashing stuff as well to kind of like embrace again what Adam did in the beginning of this season, where he banged his hands up against a pillow. Girls smashing stuff, getting their anger out for what had happened. But yeah, her character is very smart. Her development from being the the dumb, super hot girlfriend to now being an incredibly smart woman who is embracing who she is. The stuff with Maeve, kind of what they went through, that scene of "I'll be your mom, okay, mom," like like such like heartstring stuff there between those two. And yeah, the stuff with Jean is very interesting too, just because it almost works perfectly. Like if you're gonna think of one character that fits in with a Jean session, it is 100% her. Over anybody else, without a doubt.
Yeah, just the way that she talks and the way that she's so open and inquisitive, and like nothing's a joke with Amy. Like that's the best. Like it's, but she's not so serious that she's a downer. Like because they could always write like like you could write it like a Sheldon, like kind of like an eye roll, like God, we're dealing with this again. Like Amy is so smart and funny and caring and loving and fierce. She is a fierce friend. And I love her relationship with Maeve. The fact that like I completely forgot that she was like in like the Untouchable clique with Ruby and Olivia and Anwar. Like what? like oh yeah, that was a thing. And then she dumps them for Maeve, which I'm like,
but even when we met her, she was hiding herself from them from the very beginning. Like it wasn't like when we met the Untouchables, like they were all part of it, right? Like she was hiding smoking, she was already hanging out with Maeve at that point. But I do, like you said, I love that moment where she goes, "I'm dumping you guys, I'm with her now." And then boom, power move for the next 2 seasons with Maeve and Amy, and I love it.
Well, her relationship with what is it, Steve, her boyfriend? Like when they first get together, and like she's like, "Do you want to come on my tits?" And he's like, "Do you want me to?" And like she has that whole conversation with Otis about like how she's always fake.
Yeah.
Because like she never. Oh, first of all, that whole scene of her discovering masturbation, like, had me die. She finished. She's like, "Oh, I really want a crumpet." Like, girl, yes, I totally understand that. But like she never like had a thought for herself and her own joy, and it was like so foreign. Like she even like balks at the idea of masturbating, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Like, of course you need to know what works. And then like she comes back after a night of masturbating, her hair is all like sex haired, and she's like, "I need to find Steve." And she just gives him like these instructions. She's like, "Go left, go right, go up, down, blow in my ear, fireworks." Like, girl knows what she's talking about. Like, you gotta respect somebody who
she's now embracing who she fully is.
Yeah, she does the work. She embraces who she is, and she's learning more about herself by teaching others about who they are too. And I absolutely love and adore her for that. Like, she's just the best. What I think is the worst character, not like worst written, but like I kind of hate Isaac.
Yeah, I hate Isaac too.
Isaac is a douchebag. Like, I love
I didn't like him from the second I met him. Like
the first words out of his mouth are, "Did we ask you for help?" Then no. Like, dude, just because you're in a wheelchair, he does not give you like the right to be such an asshole. Like, yes, he's had these really tender and beautiful moments with Maeve, and like they do have an understanding of each other that nobody else can. But
doesn't matter. What he did is wrong.
He deleted Otis's message. I mean, I do give him credit for like telling her about it, like before they started to like really like hook up. And I was like, okay, that's commendable, but like you're still being a little bit of a dick. And he did help her out this season with her mom, who we will address because, oh my God, is Aaron a piece of work? Talk about a 1-season character arc. Aaron went from being this total loser. She's a drug addict. She lies about everything. She moves back in with Maeve. She gets a job. She lies about being fired. She lies about using again. She slips up once. Maeve, season 2 ends with Maeve having to call Child Protective Services on her. And the entire time, even in season 3, the entire time, it's always her blaming Maeve. It's never her accepting responsibility for the fact that, yes, she did start using again. Yes, it's not her fault that her 17-year-old daughter had to call the cops on her. Like, that's on her. Like, it drives me fucking nuts when adults can't own up to their own issues.
I goodness, you two. Hello. Hello. No, I agree. I think she is, and again, going back to what we've talked about so many times, there's a lot of mothers like that out there, unfortunately. And as much as I don't like her in what she's done to Maeve, because Maeve in the situation that she was in, all she was trying to do was what was best. And for the fact that for the adult to not understand that was not only hard to watch, but also like I've had moments like that in my life. I'm sure we all have, where we've tried to explain something or we've done something and either our parents or some adult that we're close to just don't get it. They just don't understand.
Or they
but I do. Yeah. I do think, as much as I don't like her, the move, thank goodness, that they made at the end of the season of letting Maeve's little sister go back to where she was, a safe environment. Her mother went away, whether it's just to go away forever, whether to get help. We're not sure if she'll come back. Through all the heartbreak and the struggle and just like the anger, jaw-clenching things that were happening between them, it ultimately ended up how we wanted it to, and I think it's better for the characters. I mean, we'll see what happens if she ever comes back. But I think Maeve's in a better situation. Maeve's gonna be out of the trailer park now. She's gonna be with her little sister. It's a much better environment, and so just as this show does with a lot of things, it puts us through these ups and downs. But ultimately, like we're like, okay, we can be okay with it, and then end up exactly how we wanted it to.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things in the season that I have issues with. I do love the way that they kind of brought Erin back to being a humane human, and like recognizing the fact that stealing her daughter from CPS is probably not the best thing for Lily. Like even on the dock as they're waiting for the boat to come in to take them away, Lily's like, "Can we go back?" Like, I can't remember her name, but she's like, "I want to go back to my the woman who's taking care of me," like in a very childlike way. And it's just, it just drives me nuts when people, especially adults, especially parents, can't or refuse to listen to their children when they're telling them something. Like Maeve was constantly like, "You have an illness, you are sick, it's not your fault, but you need to deal with it and own up to it." And her mom was like, "No." Speaking of bad moms and not so great moms, Jean, issues. She was writing a book about Otis without telling him, and then she screwed up her relationship with Jakob because she ended up messing around with Remy, her ex-husband. Jean is not the most emotionally stable person. She gives great advice, but she also does not understand that advice applies to herself. And we see her go through this by not telling Jakob that he's having a baby.
Yep.
At the very beginning of the season. Like this whole joke about because you don't see the belly until she gets out of the car to tell him. And you hear Otis being like, you have to tell him. And you think that it's maybe a few months, she might just start to be showing, and then all of a sudden she gets out and it's she's that girl is pregnant.
Like you said earlier, she's 6 months pregnant.
She's 6-7 months pregnant. The girl's ready to pop. Oh my God. But the whole thing that she and Jakob go through, first of all, I love Jakob. He's so Scandinavian, it hurts. They have Jan in Ted Lasso, who just speaks his mind and is very upfront. That's Jakob. Jan and Jakob are basically the same person, I think. I love his relationship with Ola, how he just yells at her in, was it Swedish? And she just yells back in English. It's so funny. Alex, yes, you are 100% correct. Sex Education is the best coming of age YA TV show.
I would agree with that.
Yes, it is.
No, I think I think Jakob is a great I don't know if this is the right word, but he's a great foil to Jean.
That was exactly the word I was thinking of.
Yeah, he kind of just like fits all those cracks that she doesn't have, or that she's missing, or that she kind of wiggles her way around. He has his flaws, like we've seen. He doesn't like to talk about his feelings. He struggles with that, but it ultimately comes back, and he does work on that. He's there. I'm interested in where it goes because, like you said, Jean isn't the greatest mother. She struggles a lot, especially after I watched a couple of episodes in the first season. I'm like, wow, like she was awful then, and she's still not very good now.
She's improved, but she had some serious boundary issues early in the season.
She's got some really, really big problems that happen. But I think her and Otis, their relationship has definitely hit very big peak and valleys through the 3 seasons. And when they're low, they are very low. But when they're high, they're very, very high. Yeah. And I think we're getting to a point where it's going to stay there because her and Jakob are kind of becoming a little bit more steady. She's having a steady influence in her life, a male partner that hasn't been there. She's kind of just floated around guys for so long. And Otis has really come to terms with who he is as a person as well. At the same time, it's really strange. Like they're like 30 years apart or something. And they were both on this path of really figuring out who they were. And now that they're there, I think the relationship's going to be a little bit better. But also having Jakob there for Otis with the male figure, for Jean, and plus the baby.
Little joy.
It'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I did love the episode where Jean gave birth. Because she was supposed to meet Jakob at their therapist.
Yes.
And she ended up going into labor on TV while while something at the school was happening. Oh, we haven't even addressed the fact that everything that was going on at the school with
the sex play.
With with the new headmaster, the new head teacher.
The new headmaster. That's what.
Oh my god. Yeah. I want to call her Miss Trunchbull, but that's not right.
What is her name?
No, she very much, I can't remember who posted it, but somebody compared her to who was the professor in pink from Harry Potter.
Umbridge. Umbridge.
Yeah. Somebody was like, I didn't know that this season was the Umbridge origin story. And I'm like, it fits perfectly because
that's crazy.
She literally comes in as like the cool teacher at the very beginning of the season. And then like starts implementing all of these incredibly militant things. And I love that Raheem is the only one to see through her bullshit because she paints that line down the middle. And they're like, I wonder what the line's for. And he goes, a line is never just a line. And like, then she starts implementing all this other stuff. And he goes, I told you a line is never just a line. Raheem is the wisest. Like, I understand how smart Otis is, but Raheem like sees things on a different level. And I love how they play up to that. Like, oh, he's just French. Like, no.
And he comes up in like the most simple, easiest times for this stuff to happen. Like it's always the perfect time with him. It was Hope Haddon. Her name is Haddon. Hope Haddon.
Hope. Yeah, just call me Hope. Yeah.
She's so evil.
She's so evil.
I wanted to love her.
Oh yeah.
Like I wanted to really like her, but just like you said, she was implementing these very strange rules, like making people change their hairs. The whole situation with the non-binary with Call, and I think her name was Layla, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah,
I think it was Layla. And then like the uniforms, you mentioned the line. How about the scene about teaching the kids about sex ed the wrong way rather than the good way?
Oh my god!
Both Maeve and Otis got kicked out of class
to scare them straight. Like, are you kidding me? Like, don't get me wrong. I think that it's very important for every teenager to watch a live birth. I 100% like that is that it's something you should know what happens. You should also know that mutual masturbation can be fun if you have vaginosis. Like, it's kind of like you need to teach everything. Like, give them the gory details, but also let them know that sex is fun. Sex is
and just
really fun.
Just like Otis said, if you tell us no, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like that's not the way to go about it. Like It's called the sex school for a reason.
Which they thoroughly embrace in the last episode when they have the rally and everybody dresses up as vaginas and penises and oh my god. Amy's vibrator made me laugh so hard. I was like, oh look, it's ribbed. the details they got on those costumes were just epic. And I love Vivian's storyline too, because she like takes over as head girl from Jackson, and you know, is really like focused on her future, but like Jackson kind of I love the relationship between Jackson and Vivian, because like
she sees right through him.
They see through each other. Excuse me, they see through each other, and it's just like this really great like open and honest, like these two would never have been friends unless, you know, Headmaster Groff hadn't made her tutor Jackson while his hand is broken, because when your hand is broken and you're an athlete, then your grades matter. You know, funny how that works out. But I do, and I also love her story of like her boyfriend who she's like trying to sext while they're in Paris, and he's like, we're in a field of wheat, and she's like, what the fuck?
Medieval stuff that he's into.
And then he turns up and like he's stunningly attractive, and like everyone is like, what the hell?
It's great. I love her character, and I love the kind of, and it's funny, I went back and watched the first episode of season 3, and we actually see his abs while they're zooming. And so like a lot of the people or the characters in the show are like, well, is he real? Like, who are you really talking to, etc. And then he shows up and everyone's kind of stunned. But as it should be in real life, you're not playing to looks, you're playing to personality and whether or not you like someone. And that's the truest here in this situation, as it is with a lot of couples in the show. Being the biggest is Maeve and Otis. Like in real life, a lot of that style of couples, people wouldn't believe that that'd be happening. But it is, and it's thriving.
When Ruby asks for their help to find whoever posted the photo, and she refers to Otis as, what was it, the Victorian ghost boy? Like, it's like, that's so perfect. It's such a perfect description for him.
I love Otis so much. I love him so much.
Like, there's not a terribly written character that exists in here, like in this world at all. Everybody is so well-rounded. Even Anwar, who like we don't get a lot of information on. We just know that he has a boyfriend who I'm assuming is at university because they don't show him at school.
Yeah.
Just even their relationship is so sweet. Like when they go to have sex for the first time, and the episode, you know, the one where everyone learns how to douche. It was just so sweet and thoughtful. And then they end up at the party, and he's like, you know, everybody's just hanging out, and Otis loses his mind and should never ever drink again, and causes all those problems.
But it made the story better for what happened.
It did, but it was one of those like, oh, girl, no more.
100%. And I'm sure Otis will never drink again. I mean, although he did drink again because he was macaroni and cheese for Halloween somehow, and ended up getting Ruby. So he obviously did drink again. But
I don't even think it was for Halloween. I think it was just a fancy dress party. Like,
it might have just been a costume party they had like in May or something. So
yeah,
that's very possible.
I mean, we have Christmas and July parties. Why can't the UK?
Hey, goodness.
Yes, we know you like mac and cheese, baby.
Ray, goodness.
Ray's like, stop bagging on Otis.
She has her bones, so she's kind of growling at everybody. Can we talk about Otis and Maeve? Because I really want to talk about Otis and Maeve. They're the leads of the show. First of all, I have a slight crush on Emma Mackey. I adore her.
Same.
I think that and we did it. So on Apocalypse, we did a Breakfast Club recast draft, and I casted her as the recluse. I think she'd be a great recluse in the Breakfast Club.
As the Ali Sheedy character. Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, Otis and Maeve, so obviously I want to see them together more than anything, but I am really starting to believe that this show is going to hold out to the very end where they don't end up together. Like it is killing me that each season is going to end with something where they just don't end up together. And it is eating at my soul that it's still happening after season 3.
Well, I do love the fact that this most recent season 3 ended with her going to America. And I love the fact that Amy had her mom moment with Maeve and was like, if I told you that I was missing out on an opportunity because of a boy, you would beat me. Like, yeah. And I'm like, that's 100% what you need to say to your best friend. And then she leaves, and like, you know, they just kind of like, well, we'll see where we are when I come back. And it's just, It does hurt, but it's also like it's you love the characters as individuals so much that you're like, this is the best thing for Maeve. Like, I'm so excited. She's such a genius and she's so talented and she's had such a shit life so far that you're just like, I just want you to be happy and be good. Like, if this leads to that, I'm so happy. I'm sad if that she comes back. Like, she'll probably come back and be like, yeah, I'm dating Chris Evans, and we'd all be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I more than likely she's probably gonna come back with like some American boyfriend or something. But I really just want her to come back and be like, Otis, I'm all yours. Like,
I just want her to come back and like run into his house and just like jump into his arms. Like, that's all I want. Just please. Because every time she goes back to his house, it's to deliver bad news or to see him kissing another girl. And I don't want that anymore. Like, I
can't tell you the chills that I get or when I watched the two scenes. One, the gas station when Otis resaid the voicemail. And two, the moment at the foster house when he's in the backyard and she goes, it wasn't just about the money. I wanted to be with you too. And like, it's Otis and Maeve like forever. Like, I am such a big fan. Like, honestly, I don't know the last time I felt like that I want to see two characters together more than Otis and Maeve. Like maybe Topanga and Corey and Boy Meets World was the last time I can think about. But like,
but you knew they were always going to be together. Like, that's a Disney show. Everything ends with a happy note. It's totally fine. I mean, don't get me started.
This better end with a happy note. It better.
Like, I mean, it's also British, so it's always a slow burn, and I'm fine with that. But yeah, every time that Otis talks about his feelings for Maeve, it just like turns me into a 16-year-old girl again. I'm like, I wish a boy would talk like that to me. Like, it's so raw and honest and so beautifully put. Like it's one of those like Gilmore Girls types of like, oh, teenagers don't speak like that, but I wish we did. Like, you know,
that's true. It's funny. So we were obviously rewatching the series just to kind of for this and everything, but I rewatched the very first episode, and in the very first episode of the show, we get that moment where they're helping Adam in the toilets. Right, that was their first moment together where they're kind of helping another student. Okay, that's the worst time to do that. Ray, come here. Hey, there's your bone. Do that. The first moment where they're really,
working
helping
together.
a student with a therapy, and in that moment, if you rewatch it, knowing all the history they have now, you can see in Maeve that that's the moment she fell in love with Otis.
Mm-hmm.
That is the moment, and whether or not that's said in the show or whatever, but how he was talking to Adam and like the sincereness that comes across in his voice, the just the way that he's able to articulate things. That is something that she's never experienced with someone before, and that's why she loves him so much, because he is so endearing to her. He understands her. He gives her what she needs while also being something that she doesn't know she needs. Yeah. And it just, I need them together.
I mean, I think also the scene at the dance towards the end of season 1 where he's talking about unrequited love. That entire speech, like, dude, I rewatched that scene again, like right before we started. I have it written down. It says, love isn't about grand gestures or the moon and the stars. It's just dumb luck. And sometimes you meet someone who feels the same way, and sometimes you're unlucky. But one day you're going to meet someone who appreciates you for who you are. I mean, there's 77 billion people on the planet. I know one of them is going to jump up on a moon for you. Like, fuck off.
Otis forever.
And like the way that like she's looking at him in that moment, like she knows that he's talking about her and she already has feelings for him. And like, Jackson's at the dance with her and he's drunk because her brother's a dickwad. But like, yeah, dude, that every time he gets a monologue, dude, Asa Butterfield just like,
I was gonna say, so like the whole show is perfectly casted, but there could have not been two better choices for Maeve or Otis than Asa and Emma. The two of them together, when they're together, they are so good. Whether they're on, the outs with each other or not, the two of them together are when the show is at its best. And these two, Asa and Emma, are like, I want to see them on this show forever. Like,
yeah, let's just keep going. Sex education. Like, can we just make them into teachers at Moorhead?
Exactly.
Oh, actually, we don't know if there's going to be a Moorhead because at the end of the season, the school is closing because all of the investors have pulled their money because of the display that the kids have rioted against Hope for. And then they sang their new school anthem, Fuck the Pain Away, which was, I mean, let's be honest, it's a really great rendition. I'm sorry, but like Glee, you better hold on to your shorts. Like, that shit was amazing. But we don't know what's happening. So the season ends. I know you got to run soon. So we're just going to do a quick recap of what happened at the end of season 3. Maeve leaves for America.
Yep.
She and Otis have confessed their feelings to each other. Otis is still at home. Jean's got the new baby. Jakob and her are still kind of together. Let's see. Eric broke up with Adam. But they're both doing okay. Who else is still together? Oh, Ola and Lily are still together.
Are they? Did they get back together? Because remember, they had that little moment where they kind of Lily didn't agree with Ola on what she was saying about them having sex.
No,
they
did
come back. They came back around. Okay.
Yeah, because they had that conversation on the bus, and then they have the whole like
that's what it was.
Believe in aliens, and then they met up for 8th day.
That's right.
And they came back together because Ola's really missing her mom, and Lily didn't really understand it, and so they came back together. They're still together. I think Maureen is going to be living her best life next season. I'm very excited for her. Oh my God. I cannot wait to see her get a partner that like actually understands. I can't wait to see the growth that Adam and his dad, Michael, have. Who else? Jackson and his parents and his moms. Oh, I can't believe we haven't like talked about Hannah because she is my goddess and I love her so much. I do want that crossover episode. But I love the relationship that Jackson now has with both of his moms and how like that was just such a non-issue. Like, oh yeah, he's got 2 moms. Like nobody blanked.
Shouldn't be a problem.
It was like, oh, these are my moms. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. You ladies are beautiful and stunning and wonderful. And I would like to be adopted by you, please. But yeah, things are a little up in the air. Schools, nobody knows what's going to happen next year. And we are guaranteed another season. And that's
thank God.
All that matters. I love that they came out and said the season 4 is coming, is in the books, or that it's going to happen before season 3 aired. And I was like, thank you for taking that stress away from my heart. Because if I watched season 3 and still hadn't confirmed season 4, I would be like, hey, Netflix, let's get your shit together.
Yeah, and I also am very thankful that they didn't say season 4 is going to be the last season. Right. Because Netflix is very known for cutting series short to like 3 or 4 seasons. Yeah. But hopefully they realize what they have on their hands. And if it's 5, that's the last one, fine. Maybe it's 4 with the story that they have in mind. But as long as the story comes to a full finish for all these characters, some of them may be wrapping up. We may be saying goodbye to some of them soon. Who knows? But like you said, yeah, it's up in the air. I'm very interested. It's the most unknown we've had at the moment. Because one of our favorite characters is now another continent. And a lot of things are in the big, mystery box. So as far as season 3 goes, loved it. I adored it. I loved everything they did with it. The development for these characters is unbelievable. And like Alex had said, it is by far the best coming of age series on television right now. So.
Absolutely. I think it's important for everybody to watch it. Not just, I don't even care if like you have kids or not, like just watch it. Yeah. It's so good. It actually brings up things that you may have not thought about. I want to give a huge shout out to Lori Nunn, who is the creator. You are a goddess. Thank you for bringing this into our lives. And again, Ollie Julian, thank you for making the soundtrack to this show just so perfect and epic, and having it be like a completely unsung, no pun intended, character in this story to help tell the amazing tale. I'm not even joking when there's a song that plays when Otis and I want to say Ola are messing around, and it's from this the movie Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and I legit gasped and clutched my pearls. I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Yeah. This show is perfect and wonderful. You guys should definitely watch it. I have a feeling that we will do something very special for season 4, because an hour and 20 minutes of talking is definitely not enough. We need to go episode by episode next season if you want.
Might have to, yeah.
Like there's too much to cover. We just can't not.
I agree. I agree.
But I love you. Thank you for coming on. Watch, tell the kids where they can find you because you're going off to do a show like right now.
I'm part of a channel called A Certain Point of View. If you are part of the Schmodown community, I run the after show over there. We're going to be jumping on a reaction here very soon. I also am part of a channel called Apocalypse Movies. Everything movies over there. If you're interested in kind of movie talk, I do my own little channel as well, which I think is in the description. I talk whiskey. I talk topics that I want to talk about. And so check that out. And then Twitter at Qui-Gon Jake, 2 N's because someone else took it before I did.
What a jerk. All those links are down below. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RM Silvestrini. I will be resuming Movies, Music, and Mayhem on this channel probably right around Christmas. And then onwards, we'll see what happens with jobs. I'd love to have Jake on. I know we were talking about doing a watch along a few times. So we'll definitely Grind. We'll do another episode of Grind. It'll be you, me, and Jesse. We'll just be sitting around with PBRs. It'll be great. But I know you got to go. Thank you guys so much. Hit the bell, follow, like, request, comment, all that fun stuff. Love you guys. You guys are the best. Have a great time. Take care of each other, and we'll see you later.